Welcome to Red Ice Radio. My name is Henrik Palmgren and this is Internet Talk Radio brought to you from Gothenburg in Sweden. It's good to have all our regular listeners with us, and if you are new to this program you can find all information about us, our program and everything else that we have available for you on our website redicecreations.com. And today we have author Eldon Taylor with us. He has been doing a lot of research on mind control, hypnotic suggestion, media persuasion, and he's released a new book recently called Mind Programming, From Persuasion and Brainwashing to Self-Help and Practical Metaphysics. The website that you can check out is simply eldontaylor.com, where you can find more information about his material, his research. You can read articles, sign up for his newsletter, and much, much more. So head on over there and take a look. So with that, welcome to Red Ice Radio, Eldon. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you. I'm pleased to be here.
Excellent. We're very glad to have you. And why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, Eldon, and some of the research that you've been doing so our listeners can get a little bit of an overview of who you are and where you're coming from, so to speak.
Sure, I'm glad to do that. By way of background, I kind of got to where I am in a totally unexpected fashion. I was a practicing criminalist using my education in psychology to run lie detection tests, conduct various forms of surveillance, investigation, intelligence, and counterintelligence work when I heard that there was a experiment that had been carried out at the police academy in Los Angeles, California, utilizing subliminal information. Now, the whole idea behind this was the '84 Olympics. They were planning that perhaps there could be a terrorist abduction. One of the scenarios that might be used is they would play a subliminal program across the telephone during negotiation. It would contain messages that would cause diarrhea and dehydration. And of course, the scenario went further played out this way. Law enforcement would explain that the captors and captives were in a contaminated area, and if they were to notice these occurrences of dehydration, nausea, and so forth, that they needed to be moved right away. So anyway, this was the scenario, the overall scenario as it was played out. Now, what I heard was that they tested this technology with the cadets, and after 3 days, discontinued the test because it had successfully dehydrated too many of them. Well, I went after trying to find out if there was any veracity to this story, and I was never able to get the Los Angeles Police Department to either confirm or deny, but it was an interesting enough idea that I decided I needed to know more about subliminal persuasion methods. Mm-hmm. Make a long story short, I contacted everybody that was in that business that made subliminal tapes at the time, and you would have thought I was asking for the secret recipe to Coca-Cola. My background, is science, and if you're going to say that you've studied something scientifically, you're going to tell me how you did it, the protocol, so it can be verified. So, when somebody says that, I'm not going to tell you that, but this is scientifically proven, and it's not written in journals, etc., and they're referring to somebody else's research, you've got a right to be skeptical. So what I did is I just gathered up all these audio programs and other materials. I went around, bought them all, and I sent them to a friend of mine in Los Angeles by the name of Anthony Pellicano. Now, he headed up Audio Forensic Laboratories, and it was his specialty to examine audio recorded materials. So if law enforcement had covertly made a recording, and just as the suspect said something that was incriminating, a jackhammer on the street went off or an automobile backfired, it was Anthony's job to clean that up so you could hear clearly in a court of law what was being said. So sending it to him was sending it to the best in the nation. And he called me on the phone and said, Eldon, there isn't anything on here, There's just no content. So what, I mean, by now I was really deep into it. I'd pulled literature using the University of Utah's library system. I had hundreds of abstracts on my desk of different kinds of research, but it was all visual. So what I did is I basically tried something that at the time was thought of as dichotic masking, where we deliver two different messages simultaneously, but they are hemispherically task-oriented, and they conflict with one another in such a way that the brain doesn't attempt to handle them both. They just bypass, if you will, conscious vigilance. I employed it in a lie detection scenario. It worked. It worked really well. The whole idea was, you know, we will take the situational stress that an honest person normally experiences and we'll minimize that so that when they take the test, you know, it's a piece of cake, you know. And for the dishonest guy, we'll heighten their sense of arousal so we eliminate inconclusives, which in lie detection scenarios are usually around 20-25%. Everybody will be happy. We won't have an inconclusive. We'll tell the innocent people they're innocent. We'll pick up the liars as they come through. And it was working very, very well. Well enough that there were other agencies that began to use it until the county prosecutor advised us it probably wasn't a good idea without informed consent. And so, you know, we kind of stopped. Well, all right, that's the introduction. A friend of mine then at the Utah State Prison said, well, Eldon, if it works so well there, do you think it could work to rehabilitate, to assist in maybe lowering hostility and aggression and so forth in the prison?
I see.
We went out to the prison system. We ran the first double-blind study ever run in a prison system ever run with an incarcerated environment, period, utilizing subliminal technology, the technology that to this day, you know, I think of as dichotic because it is. We patented it as Intertalk. It indeed turned around the inmate population that was a part of our study, so much so that it was cloned out to other prisons and throughout the facility installed as voluntary libraries. That was a turning point in my career. I was suddenly looking at, instead of catching bad guys being criminalists, looking at a new tool that could assist and facilitate people in empowering themselves, getting by their own negativity, and becoming all that they deserve to be.
Interesting. And so what did you find in regards to that subliminal information and the subliminal technology then? Maybe you can break down that term for us. Does this mean that you're using this with the aid of word, or do you use sounds, or how does it work?
Well, I mean, subliminal is a very broad term, so it's probably good that we do differentiate it before we get too much further along. Typically, you know, I think of subliminal as information that you technically are unable to ascertain, to discriminate because of technology itself. So let me give you a case in point. A recent television show, a cooking show, had a McDonald's arches and a picture of McDonald's and a message that was encouraging you to visit McDonald's, and it was a single frame in this entire last 5 minutes of this cooking episode on U.S. television, all right? That single frame goes by so quickly that your conscious mind simply does not possess the ability to discriminate it. You might, and in this instance it was detected because it was a red frame and there was this brief flash of red, and so the person that did detect it slowed it down and then played it frame by frame to discover. Well, all right, where visual is concerned, it's quite frequently a frame among 16 frames. So if it's one frame every 16 frames, it's going by too rapidly for the conscious mind to discern it. Another technical means in the visual is just simply